Hello, my friend. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a bribe or a lead magnet, which is essentially something that you're going to want to offer for free in exchange for contact information when you're trying to grow your email list. And really the main thing here is that you do need to have something that you're going to be exchanging for that contact information, because the idea of just asking somebody to join your newsletter or something very vague like that is really not quite enough. And also another thing too is when you are crafting something like this, it's also important to think of what the next step in the journey is going to be. So ideally, you might be thinking, okay, I want somebody to join my email list. And is that the only reason? You just want a nice big pile of fans on your email list? Or is there another reason? Perhaps you actually want to start selling some merch or getting them to engage in your music in some kind of way. So having that thought out in terms of how that bribe is going to set up the next stage of that journey is super important. So for example, in this clip that we're about to watch, which is actually extracted from a workshop that I did on email marketing for musicians, what we are going to be talking about is first looking at one idea. The simplest idea for a bribe for an artist is to offer a free download of music. And something like that can be important because if the bribe is, say, that one song, a free download of that song, you can keep that in mind, knowing that the next step in the journey is for you to be selling a CD that includes that song and a bunch of similar music to that. So when you're crafting your bribe, if you can think of it in that way, where it's like, when someone takes me up on this free offer, is that going to tee them up for the follow-up offer in a kind of methodical, congruent way where that flow makes sense? So something that you're going to want to keep in mind here when you're going through the process of creating your own bribe, super duper important to do. So with that said, if you would like to follow along with the worksheet that we're going to be showing in this clip, there'll be a free download link in the description below, which will give you access to the email marketing jumpstart worksheet that we follow in this clip here. So with that said, let's jump right into this. The next thing that you're going to want to create is your bribe. And so what this is, it's also called a lead magnet in a lot of email marketing spheres, especially outside of the music industry world. And what this is what you're going to offer fans in exchange for their contact information. You can't really go around saying, hey, join my newsletter. That doesn't really work. So you need to offer something of some kind of value. The more valuable it is, the more success you'll have, the more leads that you'll be able to bring in with it. But when it comes to this, something you want to keep in mind is you also want to keep in mind the overall flow of what you're doing. So a good thing to do is say, if you know for a fact that you're going to be offering a CD at some point, you want to have them purchase a CD, you can do what's called a splinter offer, which is basically splintering off a piece of that product and using that as your lead magnet. But a simple way to imagine it is if eventually you're going to be selling a CD, you can take one of those songs and offer a free download. It's definitely not the sexiest or the most powerful way to have a lead magnet for music, but it's really one of the simplest, and it's really one of the best ways to get started before you can start creating more interesting, exciting, and more effective bribes. With that said, for the rest of this workshop, we'll be focusing on using a free download as our bribe. With that said, here are some additional offers that can work. Your mileage will vary here, but basically the more creative you get, the better. So something that you can do is offer a free Patreon or membership tier if you have something like that available. You can also offer Discord access or specific Discord access if that's something you have. You can have a unique newsletter mechanism. So something like, say, if you're always writing new music and you're always going to be sending drafts each and every single week, that's kind of an interesting reason to join a newsletter as opposed to just to hear updates. So something like that could work. And something like I mentioned a bit earlier, that a free shipping offer. So they're kind of essentially purchasing something to join your list, which is interesting. And then something that's also really powerful is having a multi-day experience. I've tried this before. It's pretty cool. It's pretty effective, but this one takes a lot more time. An example of this would be, say, if you had a 5-song EP, you can create the offer so that when they join each and every single day, they're going to get an email and maybe a video and a multimedia rich experience about each song on each day, so that they get a new song each day, a new experience each day. And at the end of that, they can get an offer to purchase that actual CD. That can work quite well. And lastly is something like a backstage access pass, which is kind of similar to a unique newsletter mechanism. And it's almost something that you can wrap any of these offers in to make it sound a little bit more appealing and a little bit more thematic to following an artist. So with that said, take some time to experiment, figure out some new ideas for your bribe. What we'll do is we'll actually move over to the worksheet once again. As you can see here, one of the next steps is to brainstorm some ideas for your bribe. So what I'd recommend is coming up with a bunch of creative ones, but also if you're going to do the free download, which is what I recommend, come up with some actual song names that you might want to use. So some of your highest performing songs, just kind of start writing them down here and take the time to get all your thoughts in order. Have some interesting bribes, have some just free download idea bribes, put them all down there, take some time to do that. And that way, then what you can do is highlight the one that you're most interested in, whether it's with bolding it or actually highlighting it. And then that way you know what you're going to be using moving forward with your bribe. Sweet. So now you should have a solid idea of how to come up with a bribe. And there was also a bunch of different ideas of other bribes that you can try to create yourself. I think the idea here is that the more valuable of a offer that you make here, the more likely you are to actually increase the amount of people joining your email list, the amount of fans joining your email list. However, when you're first starting out, it does make sense to start small, have like an MVP, a minimum viable product, which would be something like a free download. Super easy to do. As a musician or an artist, I'm sure you have tons of music that you could offer for that bribe. And it kind of just gets the ball rolling and kind of helps you build out the overall email marketing funnel and ecosystem that you should be preparing. And so once you do have that bribe, one of the next steps that you should be doing is creating the actual email marketing ecosystem in your email marketing platform. And so what that would be is creating a welcome series as well as a nurturing sequence. So the idea here is whenever somebody does take you up on your bribe, you should always be dropping that email into a welcome series right away. So they're automatically getting emails from you that's going to nurture the fan to artist relationship. It's automatically going to send them emails, which is going to deliver on that promise, which was the bribe that you promised them. And then it's automatically going to send an email that offers them that kind of upsell so that you are, for one, getting the opportunity to make more money as an artist, which is nice. You're also getting the opportunity to recoup on any ad spend that you might have spent trying to acquire that lead. And third, even if the fan doesn't make any kind of purchase from you, it's kind of establishing that relationship between you two where it's like, cool, this artist is someone who's going to send me offers and send me valuable things. I might not purchase this thing now, but at least that kind of connection has been formed, which is cool. So with that said, make sure you check out the link in the description below for the Email Marketing for Musicians Jumpstart worksheet. That'll give you the opportunity to be able to kind of follow along and start listing out the ideas for your own bribe, kind of brainstorm and figure out what you want to start with and what you might want to move towards later. Because with everything in this world of music marketing, it's all about testing new ideas and seeing what works and doesn't work for you. So I think starting from a place of the easiest way to get started is fantastic. But then you're going to eventually want to come back to this and then start experimenting with different bribes, seeing how much effort it takes you to create the bribe versus what the reward is for in terms of how many people are actually joining your list. So with that said, hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video, my friend. Have a good one.